To start with roll call, Commissioner Yauer.
Here.
Commissioner Rosales.
Here.
Judge Shaw's here. Commissioner Dubnik.
Here.
Commissioner Schindel will not be here today. Please stand and join us in opening prayer and stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Heavenly Father, we ask your guidance as we make decisions for the county today. We ask that you be with our school buses and our families in their travels as they travel through this weather. And we ask that you may be with our troops wherever they may be. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next is citizens to be heard.
I have one, Joe Eilers.
Good morning.
We're not going to be able to hear her with that. Did you wait?
I think that thing's about through, is it not? Ms. Eilers, you want to wait just a second? When that is finished going, I can speak now. The internet locked up this morning and it won't let us. They can get me out. I'm using the boat already. But it's keeping us back out. You know, we can just really quick while we're waiting, Ms. Eilers. Let's go to number 8, and that's acknowledgement on record that Karnes County has been designated eligible to apply for low-interest emergency disaster loans due to a recent drought. I have that on there. What this is our chief NIM kid, he issues what he calls disaster news. You only get it if you're part of the drought problem, and we have been added to that, Karnes County has. And he sent me one on January 21st and one on January 31st. They don't seem to say a lot different, but what it is, you can apply for disaster loans at the FSA office in Karnes County. It's over there in Kennedy. So if anybody wants to see how to apply, where to apply, or where to get those applications, it's all in here. You'll give this to Carol, we'll have it on file in the county clerk's office where they can pick it up. So anybody that wants to, has disaster farm area, if you don't know what to do, please go by and do that. It will tell you what to do. Number 9 on the agenda is the TxDOT update from the 83rd legislature, which included a $225 million supplemental appropriation. Ms. Eilers, you know what? It stopped. You need to go.
Very good.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, when it's time to discuss item 9, which you were getting to, I would like to have a couple of questions answered. Number 1, do the roads mentioned in that item include the Caliche roads? And what does energy sector activities mean? I think I know the answers, but I want to hear it from whoever's in charge of that. Over the last couple of years or so, a lot of money has come into Karnes County, and more is expected over the next 20 years. Now here's some more money coming in specifically for the roads. Little, if any, has been spent on our Caliche roads. I have heard it would take between $200 and $300 million to do all the roads with good coating. Now I know and you know there's not enough money to do all the roads at one time, nor is the road and bridge department large enough to do them all at once. I have a suggestion. Do a few roads at a time, and as more money comes in, do some more. To be fair in which roads are done first, I suggest a study be made. The guidelines for the study would be how many households live on that road, how many senior citizens live on that road, and do school buses travel those roads? Not by whether a county official or a big landowner lives on that road. It's going to take some time, so y'all need to get to work. Now, I was talking to my brother last night, and he lives in D County, and he said there's all kinds of recyclable material that's available from the state that costs little or no money, and I could do some more research and get back to y'all on it at another time on that. And also with the speed limits on the roads, I am inundated with Caliche dust. I can sweep, vacuum, and dust, and before I can get my utensils put away, my house is already covered again. And it's because of people going up and down the road so fast and the roads being caliche. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you, Ms. Eilers.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Eilers, did you want to stay did you want to ask us, I'm going to go to number 9, and we'll
Well, I'm
explain
only
it.
going to stay for the
Okay.
whole meeting.
Number 9 is a text dot update from the 83rd Legislature, which included a $225 million supplemental appropriation in House Bill 1025 to help repair and improve county roads in areas affected by the energy sector activities. First, I want to answer Ms. Eiler's question about energy sector activities. That is everything energy. It's not just oil and gas, like even the wind energy farms, they qualify under the same specific rule we do. It's not just petroleum-based, it's not one specific energy sector, it's anything that the legislature would qualify under an energy sector. So it's kind of a very broad definition. It doesn't just encompass one area. And so what happened is, in Senate Bill 1747, which is what we've done through the legislature, this is what Ronnie and David and Mike have been working on. It's how we're going to classify roads, how we're going to fix roads. David Underbrink is with Naismith Engineering. He's done those studies for us. We have hired somebody to do those studies. David has been working with Ronnie Mitchell, who's one of our road and bridge administrators, and with Mike Wozniak, the other one, trying to figure out how to classify, where to put, what to do. I don't know the exact formulas that they use. That's just outside of my realm of expertise. That's their. But I know that they give us this little sheet that tells us where they're going or why. And if you guys want to get a copy of this before you leave, we'll make you one. What it is it shows how much money every county got. And it was based on a poverty level. It was either going to be a 10% match or a 20% match, which you were going to have to set aside to join Senate Bill 1747 to be able to participate. We in Karnes County are we're still deemed a poverty county, so we still fell in the 10% match range, which means that anything Senate Bill 1747 does, we have to match by 10%. Some of our surrounding counties that live next to us went up to 20%. DeWitt County was one of them. They were in the 10% range with us, but they left. Specifically, what is Karnes County going to get throughout this? It looks like what we have down here is $7,163,454, which is what...
$7,163,404.
Oh, I'm sorry, dollars. Thank you, Shelby.
But it's just an estimate.
That's an estimate, and we will have to supply a 10% match to match anything that they do with those funds. Now, we haven't started that grant project yet. The estimated date was in February. It looked like we had some little issues that have moved us back. That always happens kind of when you get all the red tape of government. So we're moved back to March, I believe. Am I correct?
March 7th through 14th.
So we're going to be moved back to March. And then we have to have a plan, which is what they devised, that will do this. And I know that Ronnie has been working closely with the Texas Department of Transportation on this, and there's a possibility that we might be able to kind of be like the pilot county when we start all this, because we passed our rules first, we did this first. Daryl Fowler and I worked really close together on this. He's our county judge in DeWitt County. And so we did a lot of testimony during the legislature to be able to get these funds, and that's how it happened. And it's due to the high fatality rates. It's due to our roads being, I mean, you see what our highways look like. You can only imagine what our little county roads hold up to. So I know that you guys are struggling out there with caliche problems, dust suppression, everything else. It's horrible. And it's out there everywhere. So that's what this update is for. We pray that we'll get more money in the future. We don't know. We'll keep fighting. And if Ronnie or David can expand on that or answer any questions.
I'd like to
Please.
address the court briefly, and then David has done an update since we presented the last go-around of figures, and that's why we gave you that spreadsheet this morning. I spoke with Trent Thomas yesterday, who is a deputy director with the TxDOT in Austin, and we had a real good conversation about how the procedural issues of submitting our application. They're locked into a window. It has to be done between March 7th and March 14th, but they've agreed to accept ours early. We cannot submit it on their electronic website base. You're familiar with that. What he asked us to do is get our packet together and just email it to him, and he'll review it and comment on it. And David and I have agreed, for lack of a better term, to be their guinea pig. They're going to use us as a pilot county and review our application, make sure their system's working, make sure we have the information we need. So this is a real advantage to us, rather than waiting until March the 7th to submit it and then them say, well, we need additional information here and here. They can tell us now so that when we submit on March the 7th, it should be 100%. So that's basically my part. Did you want to go over
I'll
the
say a couple
changes?
things. Well, I know the changes were just clerical things that we had built the spreadsheet, put that in front of you, and gotten some priorities started, and we were hoping to get some feedback on the order of those roads, because obviously we're getting 7 million or so, hopefully more, and we can only go so far down that list. So, but to address some of Ms. Ivers' concerns, I did a study for DeWitt County, which was an impact study that showed where the oil field traffic should be going over a 20-year period. There's a similar study for Karnes County, not in the great detail that I did for DeWitt, as a part of us coming up with priorities on these roads. So we've looked at it more from an impact of the oil field industry. Now, the severance taxes that are collected on oil and gas production was the fund that was drawn upon to create this money for all the 254 counties. Every county is getting some money if they want it. You actually have to ask for it. So we're going to. And the asking date, as Ronnie said, is March 7th to March 14th. And they've delayed that a month, so now it's the current dates of March 7th to 14th. And as Ronnie said, we're going to turn our stuff into text a little bit early, and people are going to call us and say, well, what did y'all do? So we're going to get ours as close to perfect as we can. So we need to be real careful about what to build and how to go about building it, what parts the county wants to do, what parts they want to hire a contractor to go do. Because the county can do quite a bit on their own, but there's only a limit as to how much, which is one of your concerns. How much can the county do without overstressing its people? So we're looking at that. We're looking at whether or not to just build up the roads, or keep them at the same place where they are, because we really need to add some more material to support the oil field traffic. And the problem is, it's oil field traffic. It's not the cars. It's not the Suburbans. It's not, the normal ranch hands running around. It's the oil field traffic that's tearing up the road. So we've got to address that, and it's a shame, but the property tax revenue that the county brings in is just about the only way available to pay for something, unless you get this TIF money, which we're in line to get at least $7 million. There is an additional round of funding potentially that works like this. It's based on counties that do not ask for the money, and then that money going back into the pool and getting redistributed amongst those counties that do ask for the money. And I know there's a couple of counties, I think B
And B and Bear and Atascosa are not.
They're not asking, and so there's about $5 million right there that's going right back into the pot and will be redistributed. There's other counties that aren't asking as well. But in order to ask for the money, you've got to do several things, which we've done already. You have to create a TERS, which is a Transportation Reinvestment Zone, and you have to man that advisory panel with some local folks and some oil field representatives, and we've done that. We have to ask. We have to fill out all the applications and give the supporting data on how much it's going to cost and what roads we're going to spend it on. And we have to put it in priority order, and we have to go through that list in priority order when the time comes. So we're in the process of developing that, and like I said, the little impact study that we did was used to rank these roads in terms of priority. So what we're going to do, the approach we're taking, is we're going to get the most impacted roads first. These are roads that we're basically building state highways on these roads that are used the most. And if we don't do that, they won't stay there. And as you can tell right now, they're not staying there because they never were meant to be state highways. They were just meant to be county roads. So that's the challenge, is making sure we get enough pavement down there so that they'll hold up. And then we can just go out and take care of the surface on occasion and not have to worry about just completely reconstructing each time we go out. So that's kind of a status as to where we are and what the approach is on how we're going to go about this. And if there's any questions, certainly I'd be willing to fill in some holes if I left any.
May I ask one more question? Okay, on CR 145 got this nice coating. It looks like caliche, but it's gold color. When you drive on it, it doesn't make a dust cloud behind your car. 145 doesn't have as many people living on it as 148 even. So my question is, why did they get that and we didn't?
Well, you have to start somewhere, as you
I
indicated
know,
in your
but why
remarks.
them? There's not as many people on that road or oil.
Mike, you want to
That
fill in on
was
that?
money that was set up through a bond, and we are right now currently working on 2 bond roads at one time, and that is where we're sitting right now. That's why these specific roads were designed for this bond money, and that's what we're doing right now, is trying to get all bond roads done.
Michael Moss said you made a switch from the base material to using the limestone.
Yes,
So we're gonna use it from now on.
Yes, we eliminated the caliche and the dust and everything. We are now using that orange color, which is limestone. It holds up. That's what we're going to be building our future roads out of. It costs a little bit, but we have to have it hauled in, so our cost is a little bit higher for this than normal. But that's where we're going. We're trying to get it done.
I would like to say thank you to you that you noticed that was a better road. I really appreciate that because that road was the first road that we used limestone rather than caliche on. And when I did a cost analysis on it, it was only costing us $1 per ton more to use that material. And it's a much better road.
Because we go Sunday driving sometime, and
Yeah.
just a couple of Sundays, we drove around. Because we can see that road from our house, some of it. And it's very frustrating for me to sit at my house and know that they're driving on a better road than I am.
And Ms. Edders, another thing that we've done, I've talked with Mike and I've talked with Ronnie, and we're looking at reassessing the roads that were decided to be the bomb roads. Look at the roads where, like you said a while ago, there's the population, there's the bus route. I don't know how the first roads were selected, but Mike and them are looking at it now to redo the bomb roads. They'll come back to court to get all these changes done, but for you to put them in where they are affecting the population more for the dollar.
Well, could I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I know, I have a count of how many households we have on our road, and a school bus does go on our road. Do you want to know that?
Sure.
Okay. I'm not going to take but another minute.
You're fine.
Okay, we have 13 residences. Some of them are mobile homes, some are houses that are occupied 100% of the time. We have a 12 to 14 space RV park now, and 2 or 3 mobile homes that people come to once in a while. And I don't think our road is that long, maybe about 3, and beyond our next door neighbor, there is no one living, all the way down to where it comes into 145. That's a lot of people in one little spot.
May I ask, I'm making notes as you're speaking. Tell me your road number again. I need
48.
148.
Okay.
Okay. I appreciate this.
And you know, Ms. Eilers, on some of those roads that repaired, specific oil field companies that tore up specific roads sometimes donated those materials back to.
Yes.
And that was the reason that some of those, I know somebody asked, why did the roads get repaired that were tore up the worst? I know that the bigger companies started giving money back to Road and Bridge, or donating materials to Road and Bridge to repair the damage they had done.
We haven't had any oil stuff done on our road, no oil wells or anything like that. But when they were repairing 145, they were using our road for their dump trucks. You know, it's just.
Let me add to that. I got off the phone with J.D. Atkins today. He's a Copley Phillips guy. what they were doing in the past, where they were paying for the material, but not for the transportation. So what we were doing, we were getting the transportation costs that would come out of our material budget. Well, that would cut material off the road. I got off the phone with him and I explained the situation. So now they're gonna haul it, they're gonna deliver it to the road. All we gotta do is have the equipment fix it. And that is going to keep our material budget to where we can put more on the roads than spending it on transportation costs. So that's gonna work out good.
That sounds good.
Okay, does anybody else have anything to add?
Pete, last meeting, you asked about the competitive bid all the way down. I was wrong in my answer. I wanted to mention that it can be both ways. They'll let you do competitive bid and county forces, or you can choose either competitive bid or county forces. So we can do both on a project, or we can do all county forces, or we can do competitive bid. And I don't know if they changed that after the last time I looked at it. I don't know how that happened, but you can do more than one selection.
When I spoke to Trent yesterday, he reaffirmed that that information is accurate.
Yeah.
We can.
So I want to make sure you're aware of that.
Did he say that if you use your own equipment in kind of go toward that 10%?
No, sir, what he recommended was that we develop a cost analysis of what it costs and build it into the project. And in effect, it's all going to be the same. Luana's aware of this. When we submit our bill, we pay and they refund 90% of that bill. So
This past week, I heard otherwise. They were gonna go ahead and
allow that? Okay.
So, you might ask Trent.
I think Ronnie's premise is right. It really doesn't matter because you're going to kick in 10% and they're only going to give you 90% of every bill that you submit. So if you justify a bill with county forces, they will pay you 90% of that bill. So it doesn't, he's kind of right, it doesn't matter. But we're going to have to keep track of where the money comes from so that we satisfy ourselves as to which line item it comes from.
Did anybody else have anything on number 9? Did you want to get a copy? I know this is copy of the draft, I need to give a copy to Carol. Does she have a copy? Can they look at it?
No, the purpose of doing this was so that you guys would have another look at the priority list and make sure if there's a road that needs to go up or down the list that we knew about it. This is our best guess at what we think should be the priority, but, you know, the more eyes that look at it, the better. So if there's any comments either right now or later, we'd like to hear about it. And obviously, we have till March 7th to rearrange the list. So we're not in a huge hurry, but it'd be nice to have it as right as we can make it by March 7th.
Thank you, David, we appreciate it. Ronnie,
You bet.
Mike, thank you. Okay, let's go on to number 10, it's to discuss, approve, disapprove advertising in the February 19th, 2013 edition of the countywide, a notice of public hearing in regard to county roads and setting speed limits. Pete and I put that on there, we went through all the authority of the Commissioner's Court to alter the speed limits. And then we have the county road and setting speeds. And then we actually have the order that we would use and what we have to do. Did I give y'all one or did I give them all? Did you have an order?
I've got one,
Okay, grab
yeah.
that part. Do you have it? Okay. I guess Sylvia must have made extra copies. If you look at this, Ronnie, did I give you one? You and Mike? Give y'all one. That's a copy of the order. And then there's an email from Jim Allison in here about county roads and setting speeds. And if you look,
Judge, if you'd like,
Herb and I did a lot of research yesterday afternoon, and I can address those
Okay.
if you're ready. What we have is two totally separate sections in the code that addresses setting speed limits, setting load limits, those kinds of things. Section 251, 151, 2, 3, and 4 address the county's authority to set speed limits, weight limits on bridges, and those types of issues under specific circumstances. In other words, an intersection, a railroad crossing, a curve, a hill, anything that would pose a traffic hazard.
You can set the speed limit at 15 if you choose to. Under section 151, if you use that as a vehicle to set the limit, you have to have a public hearing. You have to post, and then 30-day posting, and then you have a public hearing, and then you can set the limit wherever you choose to. I think because under 251 is more restrictive than the other section is why it requires the public hearing. The other part of the code, and they do not conflict with each other. They're two totally separate sections and they're two totally separate actions. The other part of the code is 545, 355. The court only has to determine two things under that section. Number one, you have to determine the prima facie speed limit on those roads, and the code establishes that in 545.352 B3 at 60 miles per hour. The court has to make a finding that the prima facie speed limit set on those roads is unsafe. Once the court determines that it's unsafe by an order of the court, without an engineering study or report or anything, you may set that speed limit anywhere between 30 and 60. If you go above 60, you have to have an engineering study and a report to justify going above 60. If you go below 30, you have to use 251 and post a public hearing. But as long as the court establishes that speed limit between 30 and 60, under 545, 355, it's not necessary to have a public hearing. Now, Herb and I have discussed this at length. We worked on it all afternoon, yesterday afternoon, and we want to make sure that what we recommend to the court is accurate. We both agree that if the court chooses to post and have a public hearing, that would be totally appropriate. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You could post and have a hearing under 251 and then go ahead and set the speed limit under 545. And you can set it anywhere in that range. So our advice to the court to be extraordinary safe and make sure we've dotted our I's and crossed our T's. If you want to post, we have to have a 30-day posting, and then we have to have a public hearing. Is that basically?
That's what I recommend.
So if there's a community, I say community, a bunch of houses on a certain road, grouped together, and they have a lot of children that play, or anybody, can we designate those to be 20 miles an hour?
Yes, sir, if you have the public hearing. You sure can.
So if we did if we advertised by February 19th to do the public hearing, we have to post it for 30 days. Because we could do the public hearing in the midst of Commissioners Court. Or I think one of the deals about the public hearing is some people are in favor of lowering speed limits and some people were not on specific county roads. And so I think it was just a general input is what we were gonna, unless these guys have a different thought.
Okay, could today we set the all county road speed limits at 30 miles an hour and then have a public hearing and then raise some of them and then lower some of them?
Pete, I wouldn't do it that way. I would, if you're going to have a public hearing, I would wait until after you conduct the public hearing before I took any action.
I'm not too sure. I'm just asking, is that the way I understand the law? That we could set them at 30
You
miles
could
an
set
hour
them,
today?
you could set them at 30 miles an hour after you do two things. You have to make a finding that the prima facie speed limit is unsafe. If this court makes a finding that it's unsafe, then you could set it at 30 if you chose to, without doing a public hearing. Yes, sir. If you want to go below 30 in an intersection, school zone, railroad crossing, anything, then you have to have a public hearing.
What if we set it at 30 and we have a public hearing, but some people don't come up to the public hearing and we miss a road? We can always come back and set that one lower. They come back 6 months later, 8 months later.
If you have the public hearing, you've got some latitude, but that's the reason I suggested that we have the public hearing, is to give ourselves some latitude as to whether or not
if there's somebody comes up and testifies at the hearing that they have children that are playing in the baseball in, next to a roadway and you want to set it at 10 miles an hour, then you have that latitude to do it with a public hearing. You can separate them out and, if I understand it correctly, identify those specific roads as roads that you want to have 10 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour or above. But you have to have that public hearing and public input before you can actually do it, other than on a blanket basis. That's the reason I suggested that the public get involved in this process completely.
But then everything has to be posted after we get all this through the process.
That's correct.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Like for an example, say there's one road, a community develops there, in 6 months, there's 8 kids there, all of a sudden they move in. They can come back and we have another public hearing?
We probably could ask for another public hearing and change that road, but it's going to have to go through a public hearing process.
So
in
each
my
time
understanding.
that a community develops in one county road or something, we have to go through another public hearing?
If you said it less than 30, yes, sir, that's correct.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
If Voice for that little, that little area come out here, tell us that they want it for 15, then we have to go to another.
Yes, sir.
I'm just trying to get that
The
correct.
Commissioners Court, it gives the Commissioners Court complete control over how it wants to regulate the speeds on the roadway. And you're not stuck with a 30 mile an hour prima facie case. And that's the reason I ask and recommend that you use the public hearing, number one, to just make the public aware of what we're doing, and number two is the flexibility you have after you get through with the first public hearing.
So it's not set in stone with one public hearing. We can-
That's correct. And it gives the public the ability to, like this person here, come in and have input as to how much, or why the road should have a 50 mile an hour speed limit on it as opposed to the other.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, Ron.
Yes.
And the reason that I put February 19th in here is I knew these issues would kind of come up, and we have to figure out how we want to write this to advertise.
I think we would need to cite the section that the court intends to set speed limits on county roads according to 251, and a public notice is being posted in that regard.
I suggest that you put the roads, there's a list of the roads that was given to the Commissioners Court, and that needs to be put in the public notice also, in my opinion.
But if we actually put that in the public notice, all those road listings, like in the newspaper,
That's right.
we want them in there, that's gonna cost a fortune.
That's,
Well, I mean, if you're gonna be in a page of the classifieds.
I'll pay for it, I'll pay.
Yeah, because you need to look at
Send me
county,
the bill.
the public citizen stuff.
I just,
But are we gonna list every county road? That's what I'm saying. Are we gonna, I can do an addendum to the public notice.
the list that was given to you by the road administrator is the list that I suggest that you publish. Now, it's gonna be expensive, but, you know, I don't know how you do it otherwise, other than. if
Because
you're
he gave
gonna
us a
give
list of
everybody
every
notice-
county road in the county.
I think you're right. I think what we need to do is post it for the deal, and then we have an addendum to list every county road in the paper. I don't care about the cost.
But let me ask you this, what happens if you don't give the listing of those roads, and somebody comes in here and says, I want one of them reduced in speed limit? You don't have notice there that that road is on the list of the ones you set the time on. So see, you haven't put the public on notice.
But I want to list every county road that we have.
That's what I'm saying.
But how are you gonna list it? Are you gonna list it, this is what I'm asking. Like, you're using different laws if you use 30 and 20. It's not just one, that's what you were talking about,
That's
right?
correct, but-
You're using different laws, so you're gonna have to break those out and divide those roads? Is that what you're
No.
gonna do? How would you do it then?
We're just gonna advertise under the one statute.
that's correct.
Okay.
You don't have to
We
under
don't
the
have to
other.
do the other.
And what you could do, if after the public hearing, and they say, we want it 20 miles an hour on
They come
145, or whatever, wherever that your kids are, parked, whatever, then you could do a blanket order for every other road in the county and set it at 30. Or you can specify 251 is designed for specific issues. It's not to give a blanket coverage. The other, and I've forgotten the number, I'll have to look at my note. 545 is the court can issue a blanket order and do every road in the county with one order.
But we can't come back and do
I see.
the corrections if there's a need to do corrections.
But on 251, we can, 154, we can come back as much as needed to address anybody who petition the court to change their speed limit, right?
As long as you go to the commissioners, you can't do it without the commissioner's approval in a public hearing.
So like if we use 545, 355, there doesn't have to be the engineering study like there does in 251?
No.
There's no engineering study in 251 at this point.
If you go below 30, there is.
That's correct.
But in 545, you
In
have,
In 545, as long as you stay between 60 and 30, you're good. If you go above 60, you have to have an engineering report. And that's for metropolitan counties that have freeways that are county roads, so they can go above 60. If you stay between 60 and 30, you do not have to have an engineering report.
but if we go 220, like we're talking about in residential areas, I think,
I am of the opinion you don't have to
You
have
do
an
not.
engineering study to go down to 15 miles an hour.
You do not, Judge.
The commissioners-
There are regulations for counties with populations more than 78,000 that require it. But for a county our size, and I have the language in the bill, I do not think you have to go below it. See, this is a requirement from here to here. There's no mention of an engineering study in that requirement. This one does, if you go above.
Okay, Herb, so I think the confusion is, when we put this thing in the paper, do we list the roads or not?
Yeah,
see Herb?
All roads.
Okay, but look at this, Herb, this is where I get confused, Ronnie, and this is the order, look in the order. It says the Commissioners Court of a county for a county road or highway, it says has the same authority to increase the prima facie speed limits from the results of engineering and traffic study, and that's 545, 355, and that's in this order, this example.
Yes, but that says to increase the speed, to increase it.
No, or decrease.
No, it just says to increase the speed, and the language in the bill, in the statute. This is the actual statute, I don't know what the order says.
I know, and this is what confuses me, because we got this from Jim, you see what it says, this is the concern. I don't want to set a speed limit and somebody get tickets like we've done before, and we're finding people for speed limits we couldn't set.
This is something that we were right the first time.
We should have tried the first time.
This is the actual language in the bill.
Right.
And it only requires an engineering study if you go above 60, or you can decrease it without.
Do you and her want to get together and just write that, and we'll post it?
Sure. We can do that.
if we can get a vote from the commissioners, that's.
Right, you need to approve this morning the posting.
Well, yeah, we're going to approve the advertising, and we could amend it to say advertising posting. We're not going to have this ready till February 19th. That's going to take too much time. I mean, it's not going to just be done overnight.
It gives us some latitude as to when the meeting is, the notice is set, the public hearing is set, so let's work on it and get it for the newspaper.
So we just need a motion to approve advertising and posting.
What did you say about amending?
Just amend it to say advertising and posting. Well, I mean, advertising in the February 19th. That's all we need. We'll post it ourselves. We'll do that. So just advertising.
I move on item number 10, that we approve advertising in the February 19, 2013, 14 edition
Oops, I should say 2014. Thank you.
of the countywide, a notice of public hearing in regard to the county road and setting speed limits.
The language we posted.
allow the county attorney and interim road administrator to create the posting.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. The next item on the agenda is to discuss, approve, disapprove the execution of the Karnes County Community Plan for ACOG, the Alamo Area Council of Governments. Neva writes this for us. Neva, do you have anything you want to share, explain, or?
The purpose of the community plan basically is for us to be able to apply for grant funding. And the governor's office isn't requiring this anymore, but they're requiring the COG to do strategic planning, which the COG needed our community plans to develop their strategic plan. So that's the purpose of us getting together again to update our community plan. It is for grant funds to continue to apply. I would be happy to make any changes you want, any additions you want. If we miss something, it's primarily juveniles, law enforcement, victims, and we added mental health as an extra concern that we have in our, a need that we have in our community.
On page 9, I guess it is, where you have, I see that you make a recommendation as a priority 2, though, that the county attorney's office does not have a victims liaison. What do we have to do to get something in there?
There are grant funds out there if Herb would want to apply for something to get somebody in the department, or the county can, county can add that and hire.
And if y'all are looking here, some of the money that was spent, you'll see where Child Protective Services, we investigated 62 allegations of abuse and neglect in the fiscal year 13, 23 of these were founded. And from September 1st to December 30th, we had 7 Karnes County children interviewed by the Children's Alliance of South Texas, which is what we're participating in with the DA's program that he built for Atascosa, Karnes, and Wilson. Or Aubrey, at him and Aubrey.
There's a lot more kids than that was their staff and what they served. We have a lot more kids in here than that.
And I think that's one of the problems where we fall short. When you're in here every day and you're doing what Herb and I do every day, you'll see where these children are falling through the cracks and why we're spending some of that money. It's easy, if you have money, to go out and get services, to go out and get whatever. But these children that don't have jobs can't just go out and provide themselves services. So I think that's a real big priority that we need to have in Karnes County.
Did y'all meet with the schools and some of this stuff?
The only school personnel that came to our meeting this year was Jeanette Wynn. And of course, they're still providing some services.
Because I wonder, you referenced Columbine in there, and I was wondering if these schools are still, I don't know if they're still following, they always we help design them an emergency response plan, and I don't know if they're still practicing that or not.
I think they are, to the best
I
that they
think Coin
can.
City might be, but I don't know about
But the other schools, I'm
other
not
schools,
sure.
though.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, Audrey would like to do some training with them, like during their in-service training every year to kind of just prepare for that kind of thing and keep everybody refreshed.
Shall I make that motion that we approve the execution of the Orange County Community Plan for ACOG? Do you have to sign it or something?
I don't think
you to
so.
sign it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Here's one for Carol. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thanks, Neva. There's a lot of work in that plan.
Thank you.
Number 12 is discuss, approve, disapprove the lease purchase flat wheel steel roller, and that's Mike.
Yeah, presently we have one flat wheel roller, and we're looking at purchasing another one. This one here has shoes that'll go on it and turn it into a fast foot. And I got pre-selected bids, and I got $21,000 left in my lease purchase, left over from the pneumatic rotor. So what I did was I went out to 3 vendors and tried to get them the best price. And if you look at the prices,
Is it like,
yes, that one.
don't have any?
Yeah, the thing on the, attached with it is the report. Anyway, Holt turned around and they're getting us a 2014 brand new one with 0 hours. Bronco submitted, 2012. Yeah, 2012. And, they'll do the lease purchase too with the payoff at 105. And then JCB turned around and submitted theirs, and they've got a lease purchase and a payout. They didn't give any other information on that. And what I'm looking at is I've got 2 bond roads going, and I need to get another flat wheel / pad foot out there. And we were approved with CMEX. We have Colorado Material and CMEX both going at the same time, hopefully starting.
Those pad foot covers, are they included in this bid, or is this something
No,
that's by separate?
That's it by itself, and this is a lease purchase.
What's the cost of the pad?
14,000.
14,000.
And they're both on, you use them as you need it. If you want to go back to a flat one, you just unbolt it.
Will they go to the, work on the other one as well?
There's little differences, because that's the first thing I asked him. He said, most likely they will, but it all depends on how bad the wheel is worn. In which that's a new one, so it shouldn't be worn.
This one, you're not looking to amend anything or do anything?
Well, if you look on the back, if of Holt, there's a paper that we need to authorize at least to get everything started. And what we did was we didn't let them impede delivery because it saved us a bunch of money. So we're gonna go pick it up. But it's just saying that y'all accept this. And once it's accepted, then they'll go ahead and start the process.
My question is, even though it's a lease purchase option, since the dollar amount is where it is, Herb, does it have to be formally bid? It's above the 50,000.
I think it does, probably. I don't know the answer to that, but my reaction right now is that it does.
But you're gonna rent it, right?
We're gonna lease it,
Yeah.
and then we'll purchase it in October.
And you're gonna take it out of your equipment rotor
Yes,
for
I have
2,000?
21 left over after you paid that pneumatic roller. So that 21,000 give us enough to lease it,
For 3 months?
well, for 6 months, give or take, and then from there. We won't pick up delivery until March anyway.
But my question goes back to, because the total is more than 50,000, does it have to be bid? Because even though we're renting it, come next October when we want to purchase it, it's still going to be above $50,000.
And how do we do the motivator then?
Those are purchased outright.
That's when you can bid it.
Yeah, we get this from the pneumatic, I don't know how that was going. That was 2,700 a month, you don't bid that one? That was 60-something thousand.
Well, I know there's a need for this.
What does the statute say? Does it specifically say lease purchase or purchase?
I don't have that answer. I'll look at it if you want to get it for you next time.
Yes, and then I know if you purchase it, you do, but when you do a lease purchase,
Well, I would think you could enter into a rental agreement now, but I don't think you can enter into a lease purchase agreement without advertising it. Of course, that would be a Herb question and an answer.
I think so. You want to just amend it to a rental and until you talk to them?
we can do that, that'd be great, yeah. That's the way we can get it going.
Can they write it up as a rental agreement with the option to change it to lease purchase? That would be only a rental agreement?
I'd have to give Barry on that, because I don't know. Because if you look, they have a scheduling on here on how it's They draw so much interest and everything on the following page.
The only other option is to bid the paper, to put it out for bids and then do this on the 28th.
That'd be good. How
You
you
want
want
to do
to?
that? You just want to put it in the paper this week? What is
We don't
today?
have enough time to do that by the statute, because it has to advertise for 2 weeks, and then it has to, the last advertisement has to be more than 7 days before you open it. So you'll be looking into March.
The motivator that we got when Jeff was here, remember one of them broke down and then they brought him one. And that one, we started leasing that one out straight out, right? And then that's the one that we purchased this year.
Yes, sir. And I don't know what, because that transpired before I came, I really don't know if it was bid, I don't know. I wasn't here, so I do not know how that happened.
I think those were bid out because we put the original cost in the budget, and the
Two of
one
them.
broke,
Right.
and so it still fell under, because the one broke,
Right.
we were just replacing the one that was.
But it was a better one, right?
Yes, it was an upgrade.
Yeah. it was an upgrade. It may have-
How'd they
I
do
don't
the
remember
other two?
exactly.
The other two?
That was before I came.
Oh,
I
all
don't
three
know.
of them?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we have,
Leave one of them.
Well, the rental, you met it, I'm sure that if you go to rent this thing, you get a different price. It'd be
And all I had, yeah. Well, if you look at most of them, they're about $3,800 to $4,000 a month. I don't have that money in
the
there.
safe thing, just bid it.
That JCB is running
Just bid it, you're not gonna get it till March anyway.
$3,850.
Not,
Just bid it?
may I make a suggestion? I think Mike's not planning to pick it up until March anyway, put it in service
Oh, yeah,
in March,
next
so
month,
let's just bid it and then we'll know we're right, and there won't be an issue.
Whatever y'all want.
Just bid it, Mikey. You don't do anything and we'll,
Sounds good.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and get you.
thank you. Number 13 is discuss, consider act on the Tyler Technologies for the financial software for Karnes County, execution of contract by the judge upon approval. Ready?
Judge, this is a contract that Kathy Chapman and I have been working on with the aid of the county auditor. I don't have any comments to make on it other than to recommend that the county enter into the agreement. It is with a good company, and they do deliver a good service. I asked that the original contract be signed by the court. There's two exhibits. One is a letter from Kathy Chapman to my office recommending the contract. And two, there's a letter from Kathy's office to my office recommending a set of ideas as to how to watch and monitor the contract itself. The county auditor has been very active in the process. Kathy Chapman is here to answer any questions that you might have as far as the work on it. She did most of the work as far as the legal is concerned, and that part of her contract was all.
Herb, I like the letter that Kathy wrote with the recommendations, but my question, who's the project manager?
Right now, it's the county auditor.
Who will be the county, I mean, she'll be through all the projects?
That
I just want to, so we know who it
commissioner's
is,
court.
because this checklist is to be followed by the project manager. And then again, we need to decide, and also Kathy, I saw in there where we have to decide in the contract if we want Tyler to test the software, or we test the software. And I guess if we Tyler tests the software, it's additional 5,000, is that about right?
Yes, but if they test it, then all of their, if there's a problem, they come fix it.
No, I agree, I agree.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure.
I don't know, I don't remember the dollar amount, do you?
I don't know.
But it is, to me, that's just,
I think it's good at Tyler testing.
Have you received a current contract with all the changes in it? Kirk hasn't emailed
Yes,
anything. You said
yes,
you do have it.
yes.
We asked you to do that, I'm
Yes.
sorry if you didn't get it to you. The red line stuff, I think you got the red line contract. There were some additional attachments to the original contract.
Before I leave today, I'll give you one. I've got it right here.
Thank you.
The contract is a contract between the Commissioners Court and Tyler Technology. It gives the ultimate end management of this contract to the Commissioners Court. That's just the way we tried to set it up. It is a good contract with a good company, and we recommend the contract.
Or if I understand this right, we're committing to $86,000 the first year, $24,000 every year thereafter, plus dollars, is that correct? For 5 years?
5 years, yes, we are under a service agreement with them, that's authorized for 5 years.
You might also note that this is we already have services with Tyler Technology, and this is just an upgrade from am I correct in that?
Is this additional money, is this in addition to the contract that we have with them, this is an additional amount?
This will
Another
take the
contract we
place
have?
of the contract that we have with them currently because we are upgrading our software. Currently, we use Ableton, we will no longer be using that, we'll be using Encode, which this contract covers the Encode software.
So we're committing for 5 years.
Correct. At a frozen price, we will not have any increases in our annual service agreement.
Okay. How about extra charges? There's a whole lot of statements in this whole thing that can say that they can charge extra for something or other. Is there an estimate on how much that might be or can be, Ms. Chapman?
I don't know the dollar amounts, I'm sorry.
That is true, there is.
There were many places in the contract that kind of slipped in, here's an additional service, here's an additional service. So when we negotiated the contract, we asked, and they put in, for any additional service, they had to come back to Commissioners Court. And that kind of prevents the company from accidentally adding an additional service that wasn't really wanted. And the other thing, the little checklist that I prepared that I thought the project manager could use makes that point in there such that anytime Tyler says, I think you need to do A, B, and C, then the project manager is going to have to say, is that additional service that we're going to have to pay over and above what we're paying? And if it is, there's got to be approval, written approval of it. And if it's just an adjustment to what they're already doing, but not an additional service, then that's okay. They deleted a bunch of the additional services they wanted to put in when we negotiated with them. It was full of additional services. So that's something that we've worked with LaWanna that she's just going to have to be very careful and watch about.
Now, also in the agreement, I'm guessing in the final agreement, because it was in the original, there are some costs that are not frozen. For instance, our training. If we do not use as much as in there, we don't pay for it. They may have put in there $57 for training, and we only use 43 hours, so it's only $43. We will only pay what we use.
The
If
key,
we're real smart and catch on real fast, and we don't have to have all the training.
There's a schedule for how many hours they recommend.
Correct, correct.
the key is that this is a 55-page contract. It's going to require monitoring probably every day. It may be a 0 that day, there was nothing done, but it's really going to have to be watched very consistently. Because if you get on the phone and just say, hey, we need you to do this without thinking, well, then you could get a bill for $500.
But we
Because,
have technical support on this, why would we get additional charges for that?
well, because there's a defined term, additional services, that's over and above that.
But usually it's technical support because we can't figure out something.
Well, the technical support is not,
Implementing a new product of theirs, we add it to what we currently are doing. then we would have an additional
And
charge.
under this contract, technical support has a limit. And then if you go over that,
A limit of how much?
I don't know the dollar amount.
Contract. It's not.
Well, Herb and I did not negotiate the dollar amounts. We negotiated the language of the contract.
Or it's fine, for our technical, it would be just like now, 24/7.
Okay. Shelby made a motion to approve it.
I move we approve the dollar contract as presented, and I'd like to note though that the county auditor has been named as a project manager.
All in favor? Any
Could we have
opposed?
sent the contract and those two exhibits be marked and filed with the clerk?
Herb, do you want me to give you the part to mail back to Tyler? Are you gonna mail that back? How do you wanna do this?
Can we maybe move on?
So the motion carries 4-0. The attachment will be the letter from Kathy. And there's 2 contracts and a letter from Kathy. It needs to be sent back to Tyler, it needs to be executed. The executed copy needs to be filed with the county clerk's office.
Received.
Thank you.
Your Honor, may I be excused?
Yes, y'all have fun. See ya. Thank you, Kathy. Number 14 is to discuss, consider act to amend the tax office budget in the amount of $4,700 to cover computer expenses due to change to Pritchard and Abbott software and other unforeseen expenses. This includes replacement of 3 old computers that are not compatible with the new Pritchard and Abbott software and 2 new printers along with labor to Texas CompuFix for installation of equipment. That's Brenda.
Okay. I did budget $1,500 in computers this year because I knew that the computer on Monica's desk needed to go to the election administrator. Then we just had some other unforeseen things. I was not aware that the 3 computers, well, actually, yeah, the other 3 computers are not going to be compatible. The software is not going to be compatible with what do you call it? One of the operating systems is not going to be compatible with the new software, so we've really got to get new computers. My printer, Tammy's printer went out, so I gave her mine, so we bought another one for my office, a less expensive one, because Tammy does a lot more printing than I. It's just unforeseen. I just did not know that when I budgeted only $1,500 for a computer.
Did Pritchard and Abbott not tell you that you would need the new software or whatever to go with
I
it?
wasn't aware that these computers were not, I don't guess they knew what we had.
Did they not see you?
Well, yeah, but it just, I mean, I don't have any explanation other than we just weren't aware that those computers, that the operating system wasn't going to be compatible with the new software. It won't run it. So if it's just the 3 on Debbie and Sandy and Lydia's desk. We've got to deliberate those.
Where did the new software come from?
Well, the new software, the new tax collection software is Pritchard and Abbott, but the computers, the operating system in those old computers won't handle it because those computers are so old. And I just was not aware of
So
that.
the software that they intended your computer wouldn't have it?
No, I was not aware that those older computers would not run it. It's just it's just unforeseen. And I mean, just for the county, this fiscal year, my office, my girls have brought in $9 million just in the county. That's just in taxes that they bring.
I mean, but that's their job.
And I realize that.
Right.
I mean, if we don't get the computers, we can't collect taxes, so that's y'all's decision. But it's an oversight, it's unforeseen.
I see your point. I mean, they should have told you,
It's just unforeseen. You know, they didn't know how old those computers were. I mean, we did replace Monica's, but that was foreseen because it had been bought with election funds that needed to go to Karen's office. So that one was already replaced and budgeted.
I'll make the motion to approve item number 14 as presented.
A second.
All in favor? Any opposed? I oppose because I don't think it's unforeseen. I think they should have told you if they were selling you software that your computers did not meet the need. Motion carries 3-1. And the next item on the agenda is to acknowledgement of purchase of 5 e-poll books and required software and license support from Hart InterCivic by the Elections Department in the amount of $11,955 to be taken from the elections expense line item. This purchase will serve to further reserve the integrity of Karnes County elections by integration of remaining polling locations with the same equipment as all polling locations. This budget does not require a budget amendment. That's Karen.
Yes, and there's, like she just said, it's not a budget amendment, but I did want to make sure we acknowledged it in court because of the expense of it, the amount of it. But what this will do is allow me to have e-poll books at every polling location, allow uniformity throughout the election process, and of course be more secure in not using paper, not depending on people to mark or not mark, because they cannot even go to a voting machine if they haven't checked in first. They have to have that check-in to go to a voting machine.
What's a e-poll book?
It is basically an electronic poll book, which has the listing of everybody who is able to vote. It also is updated daily with anyone, or updated before the election with everyone who has early voted by mail. So it would not allow, those people would not be allowed to vote then at the polling place because they've already voted by mail, and that would have already been updated and uploaded to those computers.
And just out of curiosity, where are you going to take it from?
Where the funds?
Yes.
From my elections department, elections expense budget line.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks, Karen.
The next item is discuss, approve, disapprove an interlocal cooperation contract between Karnes County and Texas DPS, which would allow citizens to apply locally for an election identification certificate, EIC. The Texas Election Code 63.001B requires a photo ID in order to vote in Texas, and pursuant to the authority granted Chapter 521 of the Texas Transportation Code and the Interlocal Cooperation Act, Chapter 7091 of the Texas Government Code. And I put that on there for Karen. Karen and I met with Sergeant Davis, and I can't remember the woman's name, Karen.
I can't either. I have it on my desk. I apologize.
And she came down and she explained the picture taking process and the election identification certificate. And what that would be is Karen's office would be able to take pictures and send them to the ID people to be able to get an ID for people to be able to vote. Last time, they set somebody out in the hall for like 5 days.
But they didn't advertise it and all of those kinds of things. And this will allow, especially the older voting section of our community to be able to get some sort of a certificate or ID that they can use just to vote. They may not be drivers, they may not need an ID for anything else, but they do want to vote, and we want to let them vote. And so there's no cost to us. They being DPS is supplying the equipment, and basically what we do is we will issue them a temporary, it's almost like a temporary license now, which does have your picture on it. So they could come in the day before elections, and if they've got the qualifications, there's a lot of qualifications to it, so don't get me wrong, they can't just come in and get one and go. But if they qualify and they're issued one, they can come in the day before elections and then vote the next day. It's because they'll have that temporary with the picture.
What would the qualifications be?
I don't have those with me, but it's quite a bit. They have to have there's a primary documentation that they have to have. If they don't have that primary, then there's 2 secondaries. It's kind of like, Carol and I were talking, kind of like trying to get, your birth certificate if you don't have it, but your birth certificate is one of those things that you can use to get this one.
One of those would require proof of residency.
Correct, that's correct.
You want to start doing driver's license too then?
No, sir.
This is the
No,
start.
I am not in my department.
This is the start.
Don't say that out loud.
I did. Okay.
And I don't know if we'll get any, like she said, we had, they came down, they sat for 5 days and they didn't get one, and that happened throughout the state of Texas. But I think as people become more aware of the fact that they've got another option, and because we are doing voter ID now, that, there may be a need for maybe one person, but one person is one person that can vote that couldn't before.
I make a motion that we approve the interlocal cooperation contract between Karnes County and Texas DPS, which allows the citizens to apply locally for an election identification certificate. Texas Election Code 63.001 requires a photo ID in order to vote in Texas pursuant to the authority granted in Chapter 521 of the Texas Transportation Code and the Interlocal Agreement Act, Chapter 791 Texas Government Code, and authorize Judge, I guess you have to authorize.
Yes, I do.
And authorize Judge Shaw to initiate the contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let me sign this. I had to fill out the addresses.
Before you go any further, can you go back to 12? There wasn't any action on approving that lease purchase, but could you do some type of amendment to the item to authorize advertisement for bids?
Did we, on number 12?
We did, we said bid, told him to come back with a bid.
Does he need authorization to bid? Okay, so let's go back to number 12. Hold on one second. Let me sign this other one along before I'm at here. Okay. See if I dated that. See if I dated that, Shelby. The first line, Carol, it asked for a date. I don't remember writing 14 there. I wrote it on the other page, but I don't know if there's a lot. The bottom where I signed it, see if I dated my signature. No, I won't look at that. Karen, we'll send this one back.
Yes, ma'am, I need to call her today and let her know that it was approved.
Okay. And then I have an email here. Is that who we're going to send it to, that EIC at DPS? Is that, you think I need to send it to them?
The agreement,
Uh-huh.
if you'll give it to me, I will get it to the lady.
Okay.
If that's
Okay.
sufficient.
That'll work. Thank you, Karen.
No problem.
Okay. Tax collector's report? Oh, 12, we're going back to 12. We just need to amend number 12 to make a motion to allow Mike to advertise his lease purchase for a Flatville steel road.
I'll make it.
All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Number 17, now Brenda, tax collector's report. We'll go back to those. I mean, everybody just has to sit there and watch us read. You have to push it if you're not paying attention. Get you now. Together.
Okay. For the month of January, for the county, $5,662,440.09 was collected. Year-to-date, $9,104,580.52 for a collection rate of 82.7%. That was on the current roll. On the delinquent roll, for the month of January, $6,199.59. For a year-to-date, $51,367,000.28 for a collection rate of 21.9%. Road and Bridge for the month of January, $1,142,688.05. Year-to-date, $1,834,527.70 for a collection rate of 82.75%. Delinquent taxes collected for Road and Bridge the month of January, $1,266.93. Year-to-date, $10,869.47 for a collection rate of 29.99%. Rural Fire for the month of January, $551,501.34. Year-to-date, $886,336.68 for a collection rate of 82.74%. For the delinquent taxes for January, rural fire, $686.15. Year-to-date, $5,711 for a collection rate of 30.62%.
Brenda, are the oil companies and all these service providers that have, how are they all up to date?
They're doing a lot better this year than last year. We've gotten a lot of big money. So there's still some of the little ones that trickle in.
Thank you.
Number 18 is by, discuss, examine, approve, disapprove treasury report by. I have one, yes. Any changes by, everything's good?
Yes. The only thing, once again, this month with Brenda, to satisfy the bank, we moved 12 million, we put 12 million in our account, and, sorry, 16 million in our account and moved it out near the end of the month to satisfy our balance for the bank, to keep them happy. So hopefully we won't have to do that again, because it's confusing, moving it in and out and back and forth.
Anybody have any questions for Bob, or can we make a motion to approve this?
I'll make a motion to approve treasury report.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
And the time clock plus has really been working very well. There's been a lot of people with questions and everything this week. Have had good participation.
Everybody's participating?
Yes.
Number 18 is the payment of bills.
Page 1, 2/3 of the way down is an invoice that we are paying to Kathy Schrader Chapman, $3,200 for attorney fees for reviewing and modifying the Tyler Technology contract, which y'all approved earlier today. There's also $796.85 of special counsel's fees to Benton Navarro. On page 2, middle of the page, under capital outlay, there are payments to Graham Loon as well as MJ Boyle for phase 1 of the courthouse, $157,392.15, and to Graham Loon for phase 1B of the courthouse, $7,065.71. On page 5, minor invoices out of the road and bridge bond monies, $1,475.44. Page 8 are this quarter's payments to rural fire, the city of Karnes City, Kennedy, Runge, and Falls City, as well as the fire departments, $254,264. We have quarterly amounts that are paid to the departments. We also have included in here the in lieu of taxes payments. The total bill cycle, $539,505.62.
I have one question, Luana, on the Jaws of Life. On that one, have we been making payments to the Karnes City Fire Department? I know Charlie just called me.
This fiscal year, we have not, because we were waiting for their invoice for the insurance costs, so we could do it all at once.
Okay.
One of the non-departmental fees on Catherine Chapman, that'll come out of the 106.
No, that comes out of special counsel fees.
That's a 50,000.
Right. Every time the firm is having one of these contract reviews, just like he did with Richard Abbott on the tax software, like he did on the jail contract, it comes out of special counsel.
It's better than trying to get out of them later, though.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
I see a lot of that come through. I mean, a lot of our Denton Navarro work, we've been trying to get out of stuff, and that's just not a good thing. I mean, I'd rather them review these contracts up front, and we know what we're getting, versus wait till, sign, and then we get them and somebody goes, uh-oh.
And the Hill Country software, when do we get rid of it?
Are you looking at the county attorneys?
Yes.
On page 2? County attorney, district clerk, county clerk, and the JPs all use Hill Country software. There has been talk of maybe next year or the next transitioning, at least the county clerk and district clerk, over to Tyler. That's just something out in the wings. The sheriff's department is also on Hill Country currently.
Does anybody have any questions on any of the bills? Just anything that you that's a Teller Technologies. I make a motion we approve the bills as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can you do that, Ruth? The next item is going to be reports of fees, fines, and money collected by the following departments. Carol, you have yours?
I do. For the month of January, we collected a total of $59,977.
Okay. The district clerk, Denise, is she in here? She left hers up here.
She has county clerk today.
I have it right here.
County clerk, district clerk.
That's okay. I know who you're talking about. The grand total of what she collected was $17,866.64. Less checks dispersed is $10,867.94. I just gave you her overall of what she has on the side. Is that what you usually report for her by? Is that corner? Okay. I saw Brenda. There she is. Brenda, you want to do yours, the special projects?
I should have this already. The total for the determination permits was $1,286. For septic permits, it was a total of $4,300 with $2,620 staying in the county. I did find a typo on the maps printed. Instead of the 36 large maps, it was 3.
Also, I think, you want to cover her thing now?
Oh, did you want us to acknowledge that, Brenda?
No.
County Attorney, did Ms. Crabtree leave something up your handwritten?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it up here. I'm sure I have it here somewhere. Bear with me. When we come in, everybody starts calling the reports up here, and sometimes y'all get lost in the shuffle. There's juvenile. She handwrites hers. Let's see.
I'll go get one.
I don't see it in my stack.
Okay, I'll go get one.
Right here. I have
Do you have one? Carol, hey, her! Sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you, but Carol has one.
Okay.
My apologies, but
Shovel.
just read it, Carol. You want to read it?
No.
Hot chip collections, January, $3,549.60, so year-to-date would be the exact same thing. Court costs are $1,243.79, so year-to-date would be the exact same thing as January. The total monies collected for January 1st, 14 through 1/31/14 is $4,793.39 compared to year-to-date $6,362.71. I shouldn't handwrite that much printed, I still don't have it. The next one is going to be the Justice of the Pieces. Justice of the Pieces. Did you bring everybody these?
I have all of them.
A stack of them.
For Judge Stewart's court, there was 63 cases filed in her court, new cases. She collected a total of $13,226.80. Total retained by the county is $9,613.23. Remitted to the state is $3,613.57. Judge Grzek's court, total collected was $22,101.20. Remitted by the county, $13,346.81, and remitted to the state, $8,007.
I think it's 8784.39.
Yeah, 8784,
Yes.
it's hard to read, 8784.39.
Dave, whatever they collect, the state gets half, right? What y'all collect, pretty much?
Well,
It depends on
When I do
the,
the quarterly reports, it depends on what the fee is. Some of it's certain percentage, anywhere 5 to 10% or half.
and then some of the fees I know stay in the county and
Yes.
some go to the state, et cetera.
Okay,
Out
what
of
do you
my
think?
court, we collected $28,063.10. Kept by the county is $21,542.76. Remitted to the state, $6,520.34. Judge Sotelo's court, $5,630.44. Kept by the county is $3,672.97. Remitted to the state is $1,957.47.
Thank you, Daisy.
You're welcome.
Next is the juvenile department. The juvenile department's right here. Carol, did she leave you a copy?
No, she did not.
The amount of fees collected are 35%. Percentage of collections are 171%. We do have 10 active cases right now. Remember, these are kids. They don't have jobs, so they pay what they can, or their parents pay what they can. We're on a sliding scale fee on this kind of thing. So that's our January 2014 report. The supervisory fees are in here. There was supervisory fees of $60 and drug tests of $60. There's more here. I see that. And the amount of fees that should be collected have been collected. It was $35. So Shelby, will you please handle it? We did special projects. For some reason, I got you out of order, Brenda. I thought you did. Number 21 is going to be report from Road and Bridge. Mikey? I saw your report up here. Is this what you want to just show us your service requests and stuff? Did you want to file one? Did you give one to Carol?
Yes.
Y'all have that up there. It's a service request. Who's the caller? Who's the source? The work expense summary. Daily work histories. If anybody wants to look at those, they can view them in the court records, the county records. Luana, did you have anything different from mine?
Here's the name.
You'll go to the next to the last page, it's the debt obligations. In February, we are paying interest only on the certificates of obligation for this building in the amount of $61,187.50. And we also will be making our initial interest payment on the 2013 bonds of $81,935 even. The final page is items of interest. Total county funds available January 31st, $64,400,214.30. Total invested, $33,395,573.06. Non-invested funds, $31,004,641.24. That includes those dollars of the tax office that are in and out, went out the end of January, but came right back in February. Sales tax receipted January 2014, $593,710.22. Sales tax receipted January 2013, $843,346.98. We have a decrease in our collections of 29.6% approximately, of $249,636.76 decrease. I again have the notation on here about the hot check clerk reimbursement due to the county for fiscal year 2013. Herb sent me an email yesterday requesting the same information that he's been provided. I have made him copies and hopefully that will be resolved within March.
Thank you.
Pete? Oh, no, wait, I'm out of order. Shelby, I skipped you.
I have nothing other than advise, still hadn't had time to find somebody to do the printing of the personnel policy handbook. And she reported the time clock thing is working. I hope everybody is participating. I think nobody should be exempt from the time clock.
Pete, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You sound like you're done.
I am.
Pete?
Okay, of course, they're working on the parking lot in the jail. Well, that's it. The courthouse is on schedule. They're getting full port in there. They should be complete 31st of March, but we have we've raised the contingency fund from $75,000 at the start to $101,000. And so we're working on getting temporary lighting put in there, which we need for the next phase. And we turn lights on when we walk in the basement or whatever and walk through there and upper floors. And so there's a few things we're going to get done in with the money that's left in the contract. The parking lot here, they've been delayed. First, they were delayed because they couldn't get concrete delivered. And so then the rainy, cold weather has delayed them. That delayed the concrete, so it's delayed again. They had scheduled for pouring concrete tomorrow and the 17th, but that's not going to happen. So the parking lot is delayed, but they are working on it. Someone's out there trying to work smart. Of course, the jail project is delayed because of weather and concrete delivery also. And so they will be trying to make up about 3 weeks. Right now, 3 weeks behind. We're trying to make up that as soon as it gets warm weather.
Pete, I see on Ms. Davis' report where for the courthouse, does it have, how much is that thing moving more or not?
Okay,
we're in the mounting process, right?
The monitoring report came in. It had moved as much as a half inch after the injection on the southeast corner, which we didn't think was bad, but that's one that was still moving. This end doesn't show the movement, it just shows a big crack. All right. The last report that came in about 6 weeks ago, we checked it, or a month ago, whatever it is, it said that the movement had been only 2/100ths of an inch in 3 places and 1/100th of an inch in 1 place. So the movement is stopping, it should be stabilized. Now, whether they come back and inject any more or place it moved, it's up to the engineer to recommend that. But the movement is, and monitoring is showing that it is stopped.
I was looking at the jail stuff that's on construction. What's on on the 3rd page, I guess it is, where it said the number 16? And this thing caught my eye, it says, to correct 65 piers that have not yet achieved required design strength.
Okay, they did they do a 7-day test on concrete, breaking strength test, and it tested out about 1,400 pounds. It should be 4,000 pound concrete. So everyone seems to think this is not going to make the break strength. Some of them may. But if they don't make the break strength, it's up to the contractor to collect from the concrete company to get those past the test. So instead of taking the piers completely out, they're proposing to put 2 more piers right on either side of it, and cut the top of that pier off, put a short beam across it to support the foundation. Beams go in there. So they're gonna put other piers in there, and there's 67 of them that they have in question. They did not test every pier, but they take a test. They take the concrete samples when they pour concrete in the morning. They take concrete samples of maybe 2 trucks a day, and they test it. And if it doesn't test out, then they're going to reinforce all these piers with an extra pier there, or 2 extra piers next to each one. So they're going to wait until they get the 28-day test. And if it doesn't test, then they go ahead with that. It's not deemed as failed yet.
I saw that and I was kind of wondering.
James?
No, I don't remember.
And Tracy's not here. Go back to number 6, reading of the minutes. Y'all read your minutes?
Yep.
Number 7 is review and or correct Commissioners Court minutes for the month of January 2014. A motion to accept after review and or correction.
Make the motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. The next item on the agenda is to adjourn.
I'll make the motion. I'll second it.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.